Hi, it's Xavier and welcome to my Bonsai Retreat. And there's an hour's gap between long bursts of rain, so I'm going to quickly shoot out here and update you on the disastrous Hornbeam Air layer that went all the way back in 2022 in my first season. It was this great big monster, and in fact, just to remind you, because back then not many people watched the videos, I'll show you a short glimpse of what was going on. Alright, well, the air layer should have worked. For whatever reason, it didn't. And I decided to have a go at putting the head, so to speak, into some sphagnum moss over winter and see if we could develop some root growth. Here we are now. It's still very late winter, and there's definitely signs of buds, but that doesn't necessarily mean I've got any roots. So should we have a look and see what it's looking like?
Yes, please.
And then also decide what we're going to do with the remainder of that very, very difficult and awkward hornbeam monster, which, by the way, started off as a sapling back in 2002, the same time as my original old man Japanese large. So that's knocking on for 25 years old now, and it still doesn't look like a bonsai. Now if we look at it, there's definitely some opening buds there, some at the back of this one, and if you look over it, there's definitely here new buds and shoots growing. So there's life in there, and there's been life in there for over a year, so best have a look and see what's going on before I decide on pruning. Now to be fair, I'm not expecting miraculous root growth out of this. Clearly this is part of the failed sphagnum moss experiment which I did over the winter a year or so back, and when I put it back into this for last year, I just hoped that there may be some sort of push to get root growth. So, you know, I'm not sure. I'm not giving up on it, that's for sure, because we never give up on anything, baby. Don't give up on us, baby. So, very, very carefully, it's extremely loose in there, by the way, so I could probably just lift it out. There's definitely some roots. If you look here, I'm really quite impressed with that. Unfortunately, I didn't break it off that. I got it from this really impressive weed. That's not really what we're looking for, is it? So where is this getting all this growth from? It is really amazing. Now, just because it hasn't got roots, I'm still going to treat it as though it's got hope. And with that in mind, I know I've got buds there. I'm just going to get rid of some of this unwanted length where I know we've got a bud underneath there. So let's just, and it honestly, if you look in there, it's as green as, so this side's not looking so great. So I'll just do some cut back. There's green in there. So I think I might have buds back there and there. So I'm just going to continue to cut back to those. It is definitely all very much alive in there. Goodness knows how this is doing it. So I'll just continue to trim that around, and then storage wise, probably it's going to go back in the greenhouse until we get to the much warmer part of the year and I actually see a good flush of growth. Now the real problem is I still have no idea what to do with this hornbeam. Great big straight, absolutely useless. Terrible roots on it. Again, absolutely useless. So we've got this to deal with. Then obviously I took the apex here off. You know, there's branches here and here, and obviously I've got this new leader. But first thing I tell you is this hasn't been out of this pot for 4 years now, so it does need a repot, but I'm just trying to decide whether there's any point to it. And I think sometimes we have to be honest with ourselves and go, why am I bothering? You know, yes, it was a one-year-old sapling way back in 2002. It's followed my journey through this tangle of bonsai and learning stuff, but is it ever going to make the grade? And truthfully, I think the answer is probably no. So, am I looking at trying an air layer much higher up, knowing the first time I did an air layer on this, I had absolutely no success? Is there something unusual I can do? I think one thing I was considering was trying to bring a load of branches down, which disguises the fact that this is dead straight. And bearing in mind how this has grown, maybe that option's still there. Yeah, so I'm going to spin and twizzle around and look at it earnestly for a while, and then come back to you with the decision I'm making.
What would you do?
Okay, well, I'm not giving up on this, so I've thrown some wire on. I'm looking at a front that's somewhere in there. I've got this back area that I can slowly train to come further down, this area here. I've got this branch here, which all I want to do, and I've done a very, very loose coil, because ideally I really wouldn't want to be putting wire on hornbeam this time of the year, because they are actually such great growers that that wire will start scarring very, very quickly. But all I'm going to do is just create some basic movement at bud points, so that just get a little bit of movement on this, and separation on any new buds that come. Now, clearly I'm not going to be taking it all the way down to here. The real movement's up here, and I want shoots coming from here. So really, do I need all these buds coming down here? Well, the answer is emphatically no. Now, the other thing is I don't actually know. I might be able to take that root off, so I might do a little bit more jiggling afterwards. But anyway, so there's a bit of wire on there. We'll see what happens. Now, what I do need to do is try and manipulate this enough that some of these here, I want them to become potentially part of a new apex, and this to be down. Again, I've got to be a little bit careful, because this is work that I should have done last year and just didn't get around to while this whip was a lot smaller. Okay, well, we're getting it down there. Now I'm just going to continue to maneuver this, and all I'm trying to do is find a position for it. It may well be that I'll actually do the repot now and see what the roots are like, which might not be a bad idea thinking about it. This is definitely a candidate for a thread graft. This is definitely a candidate for a thread graft, to try and put something onto this side. And as I was saying, this whole wiring down, I did start doing it last year with this intention, is to try and create a complete weeping willow hornbeam, to hide the fact that this is a straight trunk, and also to take into consideration that this is one of my first ever saplings. I don't want to lose it, so I want to try and make something out of it, even if it's not what you call a classic bonsai, which for anyone who's visited my garden knows, the only time you see classic bonsai here is if I purchase them. Okay, well, it's like mud in here. I mean, there's good root growth there. Hopefully there's enough roots that I can get rid of that. So that's, I mean, truthfully, you've seen enough repotting videos that by this stage, I think hopefully you're more interested in what's going to end up happening with this monstrosity rather than how I sort out the roots. So I'll come back to you when I've sorted out what I have got here and what I could possibly do with it. Well, surprisingly, although it's a bit of a mess, there's actually quite a good set of reasonable roots on there. I've had a little dig around, cut the bottoms off, and really I'm just going to go ahead and do it and remove those two big roots, because I want to be able to change the front probably to somewhere more there. But either way, we're just going to go ahead and do it. So I'm going to get rid of that one. Okay, and that's taken away a little bit of root mass. So now, if we're looking at a front that's somewhere in there potentially, what we've got is at least some movement initially, which means we don't want this one here, because what we want to see is this base, because we don't want that one either. Okay, so we've got this lovely base here. I like this. If we're going there, it means I'll pull this one down a little bit further, this one across a bit more, we can't forget, I cannot move anything about the straight, so it's just about disguising it and getting really nice base here, then potentially a thread graft somewhere. Do I keep that? Who wants to see just what we lose? What did I lose for that? Okay, lost a little bit of roots. There's a lot of roots on here, let's just go for it. Okay. To be fair, I'll find out what I've lost when stuff starts dying. Okay, well, there you go. So that still leaves me quite a decent root plane. We've got this one that's actually going across the front, but for now, it's an argument for putting a front somewhere there. I don't think I need to be too sure on where the front is, but let's just clean that up. I'll put cut paste in there so it rolls in. Just clean up a little bit of the moss that's here, and then I'm going to put this back into some really nice free draining soil, and then we'll come back and finish the wiring. But overall, for the loss of those great big roots, at least what I have done is increase my options for a new front. I can use all 360 degrees of the tree. So let's get it in a pot and then we'll come back and have a look at it, shall we? Okay, well, what do you do when you can't decide a front? You put it in something that's round. And what have I got lots of at the moment? Pond baskets. So the pond basket will help with the roots. It also means I don't have to stick to a front. And although I've sort of wired loosely for this sort of shape, I mean, the options, to be fair, will remain open because you get so many buds from these things higher up. I can still make lots of changes. There we go. At the moment, I'm somewhere, probably looking somewhere in there. I don't know, somewhere like that. As I say, next year potentially thread grafts out that way, and that could eventually end up with me bringing this tree down lower and lower. I definitely need to do a little bit of pruning, and all I'm going to do is prune back to buds. We don't want to be going all the way up there, so let's just get some of these buds right back so there's just 2 or 3 bud points for it to come out from. And really the reason why I'm doing that is I want this to waste the energy on those buds that I actually want. So I'm just going to go around and clip that back just before it rains, show you how it looks at the end. Interesting. What makes hawthorn so brilliant is when you're trying to take it back and sort out all the mess of branches that are overhanging. This is what I want to do. I was trying to work out from here what I could use as usable branches, and I suddenly realised, so these little leafies, I've got a bud that side and a bud that side. As I'm building this anew, there's nothing stopping me at all from basically taking it all the way back to there. Regrow 2 new branches, which means I can keep this in tighter in comparison to the rest of this. And if you look here, same thing, I've got this lovely little branch here, and underneath I've got another bud down there and there. So I can actually go, this too is too tight. I can always look to go back to these little buds and regrow, and they'll grow really quickly. Right, well, I can't pretend this was anywhere in my brain when I started an hour and a half ago. But then, for those of you used to this channel, that's pretty not unusual for me, is it? So, I do think, well, I hope this is going to turn into a show-in. Who knows? It may develop roots, it may not. But we'll keep an eye on this one. But this has had a complete and utter restyle. Basic wiring down. I've cleared all the clutter from the top. And we can at least now see, with all those other roots removed, that there's a little bit of movement at the bottom and there's hope. And I do think the hope's going to come through a thread graft. But I'm going to continue to grow this stuff down into a sort of weeping, lazy, mopey style. A little bit of wiring. Again, I've said hornbeam. I'm going to have to watch out for the wiring because it may well scar very, very quickly. And after doing all this work, the last thing I want to do is lose it because it scars. So we'll give it a spin just so you can see where the various aspects are. You can't get around that straight trunk unless someone comes up with a great idea. Maybe they'll end up doing an air layer right up here at some point. maybe it even becomes a semi-cascade or cascade, who knows. But there it is. So let's not give up on our trees. It's been with me since 2002. It started the bonsai journey with me. Let's see if we can get it to finish with me. I'm quite sure how to take that actually. So anyway, hope you've enjoyed this. If you've got anything at all from this, then please big thumbs up, like, and share, subscribe if you think of anyone who may well enjoy such wacky stuff like this. And if this interests you at all, then definitely hit notifications, because this may be an interesting couple of trees to follow in the future, the long future. So from Xavier, happy bonsai and God bless. The rain's starting to fall. Cheers.